the most ridiculous power in the world. On March 28th, 2022, Oda revealed the highly anticipated transformation Gear 5 to readers, the warrior of liberation that brings smiles to others, also known as the sun god Nika. Taking inspiration from the cartoon Tom and Jerry, the form allows Luffy to utilize his rubber body to emulate Toon Force levels of freedom through battle. As a result, Gear 5 has become Luffy's most unique transformation to date. Furthermore, with the reveal of Gear 5 finally being adapted in the One Piece anime, Gear 5 has been a topic of discussion throughout the anime community, most notably in relation to Goku from Dragon Ball. Aside from arguments around whether Gear 5 is more iconic than the Super Saiyan transformation, with the release of chapter 1106, I've been seeing the discussion around the question of, is Gear 5 a good transformation? With the aspect of tonal inconsistency being the primary reasoning for some people's distaste towards Gear 5. 1 second Vegapunk is being stabbed through the chest, and then in the next panel there's Luffy reenacting an episode out of Looney Tunes. And while this discussion is an interesting one to delve into because of how layered it is, I feel that it has evolved into some of the most disingenuous displays of agenda I've seen in a hot minute. The main argument is that Gear 5 is too goofy to the point where it creates tonal whiplash in the story, taking the reader out of the story, thus turning them off, with Gear 5 being a form that should have been more similar to the previous time skip forms like Bound Man and Snake Man. And the main counter argument to this statement being the comedic portrayal of Gear 5 is no different than what a reader should be used to with One Piece. Readers who dislike Gear 5 are individuals that wished the form was more edgy instead of comedic, using fan concepts such as Luffy having a full body of armament hockey, for example, which I find weird because what is so different from these designs compared to something like Snake Man, for example, a form that everyone loves because of its cool design. At that point, you just have to call Snake Man edgy or else the logic doesn't add up. It's similar to the people that say these concepts don't accurately represent Luffy as a character, which makes no sense because these are the same people that will praise scenes like Luffy defeating Lucci in the Enies Lobby arc, and there is nothing inherently goofy about Gear 2. I would classify it under the category of cool transformations. This whole entire edgy label for forms really doesn't make any sense either, because I feel the term edgy has lost all of its meaning at this point and is just thrown around without any thought behind it. Because how is Luffy having a full body of armament hockey edgy again? It's not making sense. I'm really confused on how that is edgy. Like, someone in the comments, please explain to me how that's edgy. It's not making sense. Because I know fully well that if Oda did go that route with Gear 5, the same people that are calling these fan designs bad will be calling it a masterpiece. All it needs is the Oda cosign, and that is what really matters for some of these people. And I think everyone is in agreement that One Piece has always been a series that balanced comedy and serious moments. The pre-time skip portion of the series being the perfect example of this. You have an arc like Alabasta that involves the Civil War, while also including moments where Luffy tries to eat the main antagonist during their first fight. Most Luffy fights involve an element of ridiculousness to them, however never on the level of insanity that is Gear 5. So to make the claim that the way every other gear has been handled in the story in comparison to Gear 5 are all exactly the same is extremely disingenuous to the discussion, because this belief has a lot of holes in it. So to further explain why this argument is inherently flawed, I'll be utilizing a trusted source in the One Piece community, Sandman AP, who covers and translates a lot of interviews that relate to the series. In an interview 2 years ago, Oda states, "I drew Gear 5 as a big joke, knowing that my readers would be disgusted by it. Battle manga become more serious when they follow readers' expectations. I hated that. I didn't want my manga to be too serious, so I had fun achieving it with the fight with Kaido." Now, there is a lot to unpack here. Firstly, I always dislike when authors proceed to move forward with a writing decision that they know is going to cause controversy, and then setting up a safety net in the very same statement by adding the phrase "going against readers' expectations." How does Oda expect me to react to this information? Oh my gosh, you went against the expectations that you set for your readers. You are so cool. You just do your own thing. Simply built different, the greatest of all time. I always feel that these types of statements occur when an author makes a sudden change in regards to their writing style as a way to disregard the actual discussion. I'm not going to sit here and glaze Oda because of this, because again, Oda is the one who set these expectations that One Piece was going to be more serious ever since the time skip started in 2010. If Oda himself can acknowledge that Gear 5 could potentially turn off some readers, then why is it such a foreign concept to fans in defense of Gear 5? The post time skip of One Piece has a more serious tone to it in comparison to the pre-time skip. Now, that's not to say that this series turns into Attack on Titan, but the series is not as lighthearted, a development that was obviously going to happen as the stakes in One Piece continue to rise. That's why it baffles me when people try to label the series as a goofy pirate manga. It's much more complex than that, and the series taking a more serious tone is embodied through forms like Gear 4 Snake Man. So when you have readers who are adjusting to these new expectations of the time skip set for 12 years and then suddenly decide to go down the Looney Tunes rabbit hole with Gear 5, there will obviously be readers who feel thrown through a loop. Gear 5 takes the comedic elements of the pre-time skip to a whole new extreme. Luffy is literally using Kaido as a jump rope. That's what makes Gear 5 so unique in comparison to previous forms. This is why the notion that Gear 5 is in any way, shape, or form no different than pre-time skip Luffy is incorrect. So if you disagree with this, I feel that you are just discrediting the whole point of the form, contradicting Oda's vision and message of what he was trying to convey with Gear 5. I view this as very blatant revisionist history tactics in order to push a narrative that just gives me the impression that you don't even truly understand why you like Gear 5 in the first place. It just comes off as, I like Gear 5 because Oda likes it. And then I'm seeing chain tweets along the lines of, I love Gear 5, pass it on, as a way to counteract the negative discourse surrounding the form. This is why people say the One Piece fandom is extremely sensitive. These people are treating Gear 5 like a Black Lives Matter movement. What are we doing? Stand up. At the end of the day, whether you love or hate Gear 5, I believe both opinions are totally valid. Personally, there are aspects of Luffy's ultimate transformation that I enjoy and absolutely despise. However, I will always be bothered when the reasoning behind these opinions are the product of being disingenuous to the actual discussion at hand, shifting the goalpost and bringing up irrelevant or just flat out non-existent points to push a narrative that didn't even exist in the first place. Again, claiming that the reasoning for why some readers dislike Gear 5 is because they wanted the form to be edgy is a prime example of a cop-out towards the discussion because you are just too immature to actually have a dialogue. Respectfully, please grow and change as a person. Stop being corny. Hopefully this video sparks some quality discussion about Gear 5. But knowing how the internet works, if the video manages to do well, the thumbnail is going to be screenshotted. A big account on Twitter is going to make a tweet about the video after only reaching the 1 minute mark of the video, and I'll be blasted to hell by Oda's angels. I'll guess I'll know in a week. On a more positive note though, if you're someone who stuck around till the end of the video, I appreciate you. Also check the description for the Discord link where you can chat with me about anime related topics. Let me know in the comments as well if you want to see more videos of this style in the future. And if you're someone that enjoys anime content that keeps it real, consider subscribing so when I hit 10K, you can brag about being a day one. I gotta get back in the kitchen to cook. Peace.